one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, oh, one power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names, but different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. And we'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, oh, one power is what we are. One power, oh, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby. The serenity of sleep. It's the anger you abandon for the love that's most deep. It's one power. It's one power. What we are is one power. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and
Good morning, everyone. One power. I'm feeling it in my heart this morning, and I'm also feeling very blessed with having power here at Unity. How about you? I hope anyone watching at home and all of you joining us here have power and internet and are able to live stream this morning. If not, we are holding you in our thoughts and prayers and pray that you have power soon. It's been quite the week. So welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, where we are all about our mission of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. My name is Amber McKenzie, and I will be your platform assistant this morning. As always, we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. I will say it once and then just ask that you repeat it with me. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Together, there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundation principle: one presence, one power, one life living through and as each one of us. This morning, we are excited to hear from our transformational speaker, Richard Seaman, and his message titled, The 9 Spiritual Pathways. I will be leading today's grounding meditation, but first, we want to do some news you can use. Let's see, the first thing up is, I believe it's the spirit groups. So this is the final week to volunteer to host a spirit group. Please contact Al with the date, time, and subject matter that you would like to have your spirit group on. And the deadline is this Wednesday. Okay, so make sure you get a hold of him before Wednesday. His contact information is up there. And then next Sunday, the team will be announcing the sign-up process for the various groups. So for all of you who are interested in joining a spirit group, we will have more information next Sunday as well as through the newsletter. So please stay tuned for that. Let's see, next on the agenda. Okay, so governing members will be automatically renewed for 2021. And then there is a youth Zoom gathering that is happening on January 23rd at 11 a.m. The Zoom information is up there, or please feel free to contact Reverend Jackie Green, and she can help you with that. And the virtual town hall will be January 31st at 11:30 on Zoom. Joan Breckling, our board president, will be talking a little bit more about that in our board update. And next, we've got, our upcoming transformational speakers. Next week, next Sunday, we have Joan Breckling, who will be speaking on the blessings of uncertainty. Looking forward to that. And then on January 31st, we have Mary Teresa True, who will be speaking on us and them and how meditation can fix it. So stay tuned for that. Very exciting. Tomorrow, as you know, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And so we want to encourage everyone here and those watching at home to visit the local mlkspokane.org website, where you can find more information about events and activities and volunteer opportunities that are going on there. I checked out the website yesterday, and they have a lot of amazing things happening. So please feel free to take a look at that and help us support the MLK Spokane community. I think it's very important. We want to honor Martin Luther King Jr. today. Following the board update, we will have a video and song. Just ask that you take it into your heart as we honor this amazing spiritual being who had a very remarkable human experience. So with that, I want to introduce Joan Breckling, our board president, with the board update. Come on up, Joan.
Good morning. I have just a few things I'd like to share with you today. One of them is a bit of a regret. I just wanted to announce that Tim Ryburn has announced to us that he has a wonderful new business opportunity that he has created and is needing most of his waking time to work on it. We all know what it is to start, or not all of us, but many of us know what it is to start up a business. And so thank you, Tim. He's here today. Thank you for your service on the board, for your clarity in helping us with our discussions, for your balanced and thoughtful comments that you would share with us. So we miss you. We've chosen not to try to replace Tim right away because at our annual meeting in February, that's when we will be electing new officers. So or new board members. So we just decided to go with a lower number for the next meeting or two, just so we can allow the congregation to make that decision. So that brings me to the town hall, which is on the 31st of this month, which is 2 weeks, I think, from today. And I just want to let you know that will be a time everybody is welcome at that. It's a Zoom meeting, and we will be sharing the budget for the coming year. The board candidates will be just saying a few words so you make sure, so that you get to know them a little bit. And let's see, oh yes, and we'll also have an update from the ministerial search team because that process is well underway and we want to keep everybody up to date on it. And then finally, on February 28th is when we'll have our annual meeting. And this is the official meeting where it's a formal meeting, and it will also be on Zoom. And at that time, we will elect board members and take care of some of the other business of the church. And everybody is welcome to attend that. Governing members are the ones who are invited to actually vote on the board membership. So hope you can join us for both of those, and have a great Sunday.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed.
He was a man who understood he was a man, and he knew what life was meant to be. He had a dream, not just an ordinary dream, that for once God's children would be free. He stood so tall, and he loved us all, and he fought that justice would prevail. Martin Luther King, we will remember you forever. Let the people sing that one day we'll be together.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
It was a time when all the world was on the line, and oppression was the easy out. But then he said, let freedom ring for all mankind. So why don't we all stand up and shout for peace, my friend, and for love, and then maybe one day justice will prevail. Martin Luther King, we will remember you forever. Let the people sing that one day we'll be together. After all that he went through to make a way for me and you, to stand together hand in hand in hope that soon we'll understand that all we really have to do is just believe that me and you can make his dream come true. Martin Luther King, we will remember you forever. Let the people sing that one day we'll be together. Martin Luther King, we will remember you forever. Let the people sing that one day we'll be
Let's take a moment now to close our eyes and breathe in that beautiful message, that beautiful dream of peace, equality, justice, truth, courage, spirit guidance, and most especially, love, that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. demonstrated in his remarkable life here on earth. Let us breathe that in and out. Breathe in and out. Like you and me, Dr. King had his own unique pathway to God. His own pathway to spirit. And as such, spirit worked to, through, and as him, creating ripples of global change in the process. Ripples that continue to this day. Thanks to him and many, many before him, we affirm and recognize our own unique pathway to God. We affirm and recognize how Spirit moves to, through, and as us, creating powerful transformational shifts in our own lives and the lives of those around us. Take a moment now to feel your vital connection to the earth below you and to the vast sky above you. With your next breath, feel the movement of spirit through your entire body. Now allow your soul, through spirit, to open and energize your heart space. Envision life-saving heart paddles being placed in the area around your heart. And imagine these paddles sending spirit-energized light pulses directly into your heart. With every beat of your heart, you feel the power and the animating presence of God moving in, through, and as you. Let us take this powerful heart energy into the silence. Divine Spirit, we acknowledge your movement within us, through us, and as us. We affirm that through your divine guidance on our path, we create ripples out into the universe. These ripples result in transformations and shifts across time and space that our human minds may never realize or understand. But we continue to trust, affirm, and have faith that through you, our lives are illuminated and all things are possible. And for this, we are so very grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, well, welcome. I just wanted to start off today by saying thank you for being here. And let's start off, if you're willing, to just talk a little bit about what your intention is for today. So I feel like what happens is we need to really ask ourselves every day, what is your intention for this service today? What is it that you'd like to walk away with? What is it that you need today? What aha would you like to experience today? And sometimes we don't know what it is that we need to experience. And so the simple way to do that is to simply say, I'm willing to experience what is ever for my greater and higher good. And so in this moment, just sit for a second and ask yourself, what is it that you'd like to receive today? What is it that you need today? And just see it in your mind's eye as done. And then step into gratitude this morning. I'm just going to ask you to just sit within your life and what is working for you? What's thriving in your life? And just sit in that for a moment and just know that we can be grateful for our breath. We can be grateful for our heart that beats, our life, our bed that we woke up in, even possibly our animals, the power, the internet, right? And so it is. So I just want to start off by talking a little bit about the process of preparing for a talk. And it's interesting because I had a mentor back in Arizona named Casey Miller. And I remember the first time that I did a talk, I was like kind of annoyed with the fact that it took so long to do talks. I'm sure Amber can resonate with that. And it takes a long time, especially when it's a new talk that I've never done before. And so what I've learned from these is that this is my time to co-create something amazing with my higher power. And so there's a journey that goes along with this. So as I was preparing for this talk today, I really just sat in this and I asked Spirit, what is it you want me to share? And I teach all types of classes, and this is one of them that I teach, but I kind of like reformed it for this talk. So let's see where this goes today. Let's just see how Spirit moves through me. So I want to ask you, what if I told you that not everyone experiences God in the same way? Would you believe me? And have you ever thought that possibly that you needed to recover from religion? So as I was writing my first book, or my second book, Spiritual Reliability, I actually almost entitled it Spiritual Reliability, Learning to Recover from Religion. And I was told by one of my mentors to not do that because it could be off-putting to people. But that's just one of my thoughts and one of my experiences that I've experienced as a human living in the world. So whatever you were told is your pathway to God, it doesn't matter, because it's all about us creating that pathway for ourselves. So perhaps you heard things like go to church, pray, beg, wish, barter with God, read scriptures from the Bible, maybe go on a mission as a missionary, or go be quiet in a place of practice, or become a member of a church with a particular dogma which you did not resonate with. So a lot of us, I think, have experienced that, where we were pushed into a direction that our family possibly thought we should go to, or we've heard that from even the world within itself, and it didn't really resonate with anybody or yourself. So you go and you search and you seek, and then sometimes we don't really realize that this is not my place, and I've experienced that within myself, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So many of us were born into families that told us or taught us to believe in certain ways which were never right for us. So due to these situations, we may have felt as religion was crammed down our throat. And due to these expectations, you may have ran into from religion, which then left you unanchored in life and devoid of any spiritual connection at all. So what I know about this is that so many people that have come to my programs, because we are a spiritual development program with other things, is that people come in and they say they're offended by the word God, right? And so one of the things that I say is that what if we could reframe it and use the word God, universe, spirit, whatever it is that works for you. But the key to this is that it's about your God of understanding, not what people think or tell you you should do. And when I speak that out to my students, there's like a relief that happens, because they're like, oh, I can call it whatever I want. But when we're running in the world without any sort of anchor or being more to something that is greater than ourselves, then we sort of wander aimlessly in our life with nothing that's supporting us, or this belief that it's all about us or it's all on us. And we have to really get that you can't do this alone. No one can do this alone. And when you think that you can do this alone, you're left wandering through the world with your own meager little way, thinking you can do it all alone. And the truth is that you can't. You could try, but it gets much harder if you don't connect to something greater than yourself. So one of the principles that I have taught for many years is that all problems come from separation. Therefore, the solution is connection. So if we think about this, that all problems that we have are about us feeling that we're alone in the world, or because the world beats us down, so to speak, or our families run away from us, or they judge us, or whatever it may be, we go through a relationship and it breaks up, whatever it may be, that the key, the remedy, the prescription for this is to step into relationships, is to step into people that'll actually support us and get us. And I think that we all do this where we retreat, we turtle into ourselves. And we have to understand that when we step into relationships, this is the classroom for the Holy Spirit. This is where the growth happens. And without relationships with others, we don't grow. And relationships can be very, very painful at times, but we have to move into that and lean into those relationships and ask those higher questions, like, what can I learn from this relationship? So being a transformational educator and the founder of Seattle Life Coach Training, our program is personal, professional, and spiritual development programs simultaneously. And what it means is that we do not claim any monopoly on any religion. But we do believe that everyone has their own God of understanding, and each person should develop their own pathways to their higher power. My students ask me, I ask my students all the time, what is their God of understanding? And the answers that I get are radically diverse. So some will call it God, Spirit, Jesus, Lord, Buddha, Balahula, angels' wings or heaven's doors, Muhammad, your own mind, your own soul, your zodiac sign, the universe, Mother God, Father Time, but whatever name you give it, it's all one power. So today we're going to explore the 9 spiritual pathways to your higher power or to the divine. And I want to just tell a quick story about my pathway to God. And so I was living here in Spokane back in the 90s, and I had a little restaurant job, most of you know, at the restaurant called The Onion. And it was the downtown Onion. And I was like probably 24-ish, maybe, I'm thinking. And I got hired and by a woman named Leslie McHenry. I cannot ever forget her. And I remember one day I was working and I walked in, I was in a funky mood and I wasn't happy with my life. And she said, "What's going on with you?" And I said, "I'm just, I was in some story, I'm sure." And being entitled 24-year-old, right? And she left and came back and she handed me this book and she said, "You need to read this." And I thought to myself, what do you mean I need to read this? It kind of annoyed me, actually. Have you ever had somebody hand you a book and say, "You need to read this," right? And I'm like, kind of like, how bold is that? And I remember looking at the book and it said, "A Course in Miracles" by Marianne Williamson. So I don't know, I'm sure all of you, I heard giggles, but I'm sure a lot of you know this book. And I remember thinking, oh, miracles, this must be a religious book. This must be a Bible book. This must be something about, me connecting to a God, which I didn't believe in at the time. And I remember looking at it, and I just remember the word miracles, and I literally grabbed it, and I said, "Well, thanks," and I threw it under the podium at the restaurant. And I just walked away. And weeks had gone by, and I was in another funky mood, and I went to work, and I thought, I could use a miracle today. And I remember opening the door of the podium thinking, is it possible that book's still there? Because there's all this ketchups and mustards and just different things that we put in there. And I reached back in the back, and I find the book, but it has like ketchup on it and mustard. And I was like, okay, it's still here. So I pulled it out, stuck it in my backpack, and I left and went home. And I remember 2-3 weeks went by again. And I remember laying on the couch, I was sick one day, and I heard, "You know what, it's time for you to open that book." And I reached into my backpack, it was at the bottom of my book, or the backpack, and I pulled it out, and it was just tattered, and everything was just a mess. But I knew the content was still the same. And I sat down, and I opened that book, and it was like I was reading a menu with all my favorite things on it. And I remember just sitting there and going, oh, wow. And everything began to resonate with me. And I read it like in 2 days. And I remember my mind was blowing. So what I will tell you is that was my entrance into God. That was my entrance into what made sense to me for the very first time. And this was what put me on my path of where I am today. So I just want to go on and just talk about that, again, everyone has their own spiritual pathway, and that whatever pathway that you take, it doesn't matter, because as long as it's moving towards a place of love and harmony and joy and peace and compassion and empathy, it's all good. So let's go through the 9 spiritual pathways. And I want you to, as I move through this, I want you to really stop and think about, what is your pathway? And what a pathway is that each of us has our own way of connecting with spirit. Each of us has a way that's different. My pathway is not your pathway, and etc. No one's pathways in this room is the same. So how do we hear spirit? How do we connect to our God of understanding? And how do you know when you hear it? So let's go through, and I want you to think about what you think is your pathway to God. So one of the first ones is a naturalist, and this is loving God in the outdoors. And it says, some people experience God in nature, and the naturalist seeks to leave the formal architect of the padded pews to enter an entirely different cathedral, a place that God himself has built, the outdoors. Any place that has some trees or a stream or at a minimum open skies can be God's cathedral. Naturalists have found that getting outside can literally flood parched hearts and soften the hardest souls. Naturalists often learn their best lessons in the outdoors. So it's interesting because if you think about, when I'm outside, I get a connection with nature, and I get connection to the air and the trees and the ground, and I believe that that's God's cathedral. That's when that was created by something greater than ourselves. It's amazing to me when I'm there. The second one is called a sensate, which is loving God with our senses. And it says sensates are moved more by sensuous worship experiences that by anything else. That sensation of it creates that. By sensuous, we're referring to the five senses, things like taste, touch, smell, sound, and sight. When they embrace the use of their senses, they open up entirely to a new avenue of worship. God created our senses, enjoyment through the senses, and they see God in beauty, creativity, art, and by touching, creating, and being in an experience. So it's about, the feeling, the smelling, the seeing, the experience of it. And that could be a possibility of a pathway to your higher power. The third one is traditionalist pathway. And traditionalist is loving God through ritual and symbol. So religious practices are the way men and women use physical world to embody non-physical spiritual truths. There are three elements of the traditionalist pathway: ritual, which is a public or communal workshop or worship; symbol, a significant image; and a sacrifice. So this is more like Catholic or different types of religions that tend to be about worship, like at a cathedral. And they seek to find the spiritual lessons in all things, and they look for God in all things, as in, even in this, God is. So they are seeking, that's a way they connect to it. And it's, again, traditionalist. So maybe you resonate with that. The next one is ascetic, and that's loving God in solitude and simplicity. So the ascetic people gravitate towards solitude and simplicity and minimalist and deep, quiet commitments. It's the monk archetype, or the temperament of a monk, so to speak, representing believers who aren't afraid of discipline, severity, and solitude. The three elements awaken their soul to God's present. An ascetic experience God away from the world distractions and have no need for anything other than to be quiet, connect with God, universe, and spirit. I know for myself that ascetic for me is really a great pathway for me, but some people cannot deal with the silence, and they have a hard time spending time in the silence. And maybe it's because they hear their own mind, their own racket, and that it's not easy to sit in that. And sometimes it's not easy because you hear the voice of God, or you're hearing your intuition. So who knows what your possible pathway is. This one shocked me when I was doing research. So the next one is activism. And I remember when I was going, wow, is that a possibility? And Martin Luther King, right? That's what I was realizing, that was what his mission was, or his ministry was, to be an activist for loving God through confrontation. Isn't that an interesting word, confrontation? So activists love God by standing up for righteousness and justice. Activists need to find the right balance, right? Indeed, the balance modeled by Christ, who regularly interspensed times of spiritual intense ministry. Activists can take the form of Christian activism, or social reform, or to conduct an error or evil. Writers, preachers, politicians, academics, artists, and homemakers can all be activists. They are faithful to their own beliefs and stand for what they believe is their truth. Activists will never be satisfied playing it safe. They need to experience the exhilaration of seeing miraculous in God through the miraculous ways of being with using their voice. And so it's about really getting out there and speaking up for a cause of what it is that you believe in, and to really move into having a voice and having that experience and having that ability to be able to use your voice in a powerful way. But I think that what's important in this activism archetype for your pathway is that you learn grace. right? Because I think that what grace, I believe grace is that you're not too little and you're not too big, that you live in the middle, that you know when to flex, you know when to dim, you know when to be a blowtorch and to be a candle. You know this. And I think that activism takes all forms of that, because if we're too much, our voice isn't heard. And if we're too little, our voice isn't heard. So you need to know what your energy is when you start to be in the activists. This is an easy one, caregivers. So loving God by loving others. And caregivers find and grow towards God through acts of mercy and service to others. And when serving others, they are showing their God for love. Caregivers hear spirit more clearly when they're caring for someone that they sit with and quietly in prayer. Caregivers have found that one of the most profound ways that they can love God is by loving others. For caregivers, giving care isn't a chore, but a form of worship. So I think that caregiving is powerful because caregiving is people like hospice and nurses. I know for myself, I've done some hospice work, and it is the most amazing, profound experiences when you sit with people that are transitioning. And I do see and feel God in those moments. The next one is enthusiasts, and that's loving God with the mystery and the celebration. So enthusiasts enjoy a celebratory form of worship as well as many of the more supernatural forms of faith. People with this spiritual temperament like to let go and experience Spirit's energy through excitement and awe. Events like the Burning Man or concerts or festivals with spiritual energies. One of them that I remember is the Oregon Country Fair. Has anyone ever been there before? And it's awesome. It's down by Eugene, and it's very much about that experience that you just get, you're in the middle of it, and all these amazing things are happening, and I definitely felt Spirit there. So enthusiasts experience God by dancing in the mystery, and they understand that there is a certain thing about life we simply can't fully understand. So for me, it's about learning to dance in the mystery, that we learn to get that life is a mystery and that we get enthused by the mystery of it and not knowing all the time. So they are open to spiritual world, and they believe in God who's powerful and who acts with exciting ways. So maybe that's you. I don't know. The next ones are the contemplative people, and that's loving God through adoration. And the contemplative person seeks to understand and adore the Spirit of God, while they seek to serve. Others seek to celebrate, and others seek to explain the concept of God. The contemplative likes to gaze longly and lovingly into the face of the universe and be caught up in awe of life. Contemplatives live for a deeper connection to life, and they want nothing more than some privacy to gaze upon the awe and the wonder of life and all the deliciousness it has to offer. So that's definitely one of mine, is just sitting and really contemplating on the bigger concepts of life and trying to understand, this giant, big thing called life and spirituality. And lastly are the intellects, or the intellectuals. That's loving God with the mind. So intellects or intellectuals feel that growing in Christ, they need to have their minds stimulated by scriptures and other reading materials and intellectual knowledge. And they need to be challenged. If they're not learning new things about God, universe, spirit, their relationships will feel stagnant. And intellectuals remind us of the high calling of loving God with our mind. So those are the 9 spiritual pathways to your divine, to your higher power. And I'm not sure if you've ever thought about that before. Like, how do I find my higher power? How do I find my connection with the universe, with the divine, with your higher power? And I know that for myself, that when I got this, and I really understood it, that I was more on path when I went to those places that made more sense. So I'll talk more about that in a minute. So let me just tell you what my 6, I'm not going to go through all 9, but there's a test that I'm going to be presenting, and Amber and I are working out the details right now of a class that I'll be teaching sometime in the spring. And it's going to have to do with developing your spiritual gifts, and you're developing your pathways. And in this course, I'll be teaching you, we'll learn about your particular pathway and how you know how to get on path. So first of all, for my pathway is First, I need to get ascetic. So for me, I need to get quiet. Next, I need to become contemplative, and I need to process what I'm hearing. Then I intellectualize, and I research, and I read, and I fact find. That leads me to a sensate, and the information I've received gets me excited and express it through music and cooking and even creating something. That leads me to nature to get grounded and see the beauty of walking and hiking and swimming and seeing the wildlife. And then I get enthused because that whole process gets my energy up and it raises my vibration. And so that's what's exciting, because I know my pathway and I know exactly what I need to do. And I know the first step for me is become an ascetic. And maybe that's meditation. But for me, when I'm going to ascetic, it literally means for me, drop to the floor. And that's what I tell myself, is drop to the floor. When I'm spinning and I'm in chaos and my center of who I am is in anxiety or wonder or worry, I'm aware to say, Rich, drop to the ground. And when I do that, that means I sit in one spot and I get into a meditative pose and I just breathe and I just get quiet and I allow myself to hear what it is I need to hear. And my intention always is to find my center, because when we find our center, nothing can knock you off balance. The world of effects are going to spin around you always, but we got to find that place of our center. And at that point, we can find our center and then begin to walk into our pathways. But that's my pathway, so who knows what yours is. So I want to just bring to you a 5-step process that possibly would support you in your pathway to God. And that I think once you receive it, that it's going to help you stay centered in your pathway. And so let's look at how you can connect to your divine. So the process to consider is called a spiritual mind treatment. It's affirmative prayer, and it comes from the teachings of the science of mind. So I am a practitioner of science of mind, and I've been doing this work for 20 years of the science of mind, which is the teachings of Ernest Holmes. And I love the fact that unity and science of mind are so closely connected. They're sister and brother. So here are the 5 steps that you could possibly contemplate to be, once you get on your pathway, to affirm it and to keep it connected. So I want you to realize 1 through 5, it really means, the acronym is, are you ready to receive? And that's what we're up to in this. So the first step is the recognition. And it is that you say, God is, and you call it by name. For me, it's about, what do you claim it to be? What do you know it is? What is your God of understanding? So when I say God is the universe, God is spirit, and God is an omnipresent being that's everywhere and everything. That's what I call it. So it's like grounding myself in my truth. The second process is unification. I am one with all things, and I'm always connected to my God of understanding, no matter what. So sit in that. The world's spinning, and we get into this human struggle with our life, whatever's going on. And the component to this is that I know that I'm unified, and I'm always connected to my God of understanding, no matter what. No matter what. Is that faith? Yes. And I define faith as learning to walk in the fog. We're all fog walking right now. So we got to get that God is in everything, and I unify myself with that higher power. The third step is realization, and it says that all that God is, I am. I expect and accept and say yes to prosperity, guidance, no matter what, and harmony, health, and love. So think about that. My realization, your realization could be, again, that all that God is, I am. And I expect and accept prosperity, guidance, harmony, health, and love. What a powerful realization. And the last one is, or the fourth one, is thanksgiving. And it says, I'm grateful for my perfect connection with my higher power, and I know I'm always supported. So it's very connected to unification, or the realization, But it's about being grateful, this awareness that these four things above are my truth. You're not alone. The universe is constantly supporting you if you just pay attention. The universe has your back. And lastly, this is the hardest one for most of us, is release. And I know for myself, this is my work, is releasing my attachment to the outcome, releasing my expectations of how I think it should be. Because the universe has a bigger mind than we do. It has a bird's eye view, and it knows more than we do. And so when we're pushing things to happen in our life, and you keep getting these blocks and these detours, I always say angels will open doors and angels are going to shut doors. And if the angel shuts the door, then we probably should listen, right? Because we don't want to have that thing that we pushed into existence generally. So the release is, I let go and let God, and I understand that everything is in divine order and divine timing. I know when I hold on too tightly, I squash the divine process. How many of you have kids? Anyone relate to this? This is the big piece, right? Is that if I hold on too tightly and I don't allow the process to unfold, then there's divinity even in that. And it's about that if I hold on, I'm going to squash it. It's about doing this. And it's about opening yourself up to, I don't know where this is going, but I release it into the law of God is done. And so it is. So I just want to end with, those are the 9 pathways to your higher power. And when you seek to find your own pathway, you will get recentered, reinforce your connection, and move forward with renewed strength, vision, and purpose. So I just want to once again reiterate that sometime in the spring, we'll be doing a virtual class, and it will be on the 9 pathways and your spiritual gifts after that. And so learning how to really activate that intuition and using those gifts in a more powerful way. So in closing, I speak this to you. Everyone has a pathway to their higher power, but whatever pathway that you choose, or whatever path or whatever name you get it, it's all one power. It's all one power. And it doesn't matter what you call it or how you got there, as long as you end up where you need to be. And if this, what they say, is the wrong pathway, then was it the wrong pathway if it got you to where you are today? So part of this journey is this and this. And sometimes we end up coming up and out and we transcend our problems. And I would also end with, all of our messes can become our message, and all of our messes can become our ministry. And so part of our ministry or our message is to get that this was all part of the divine plan. And so I'm going to now take what I know and help others do the same thing. So please repeat after me this closing mantra. All is well, in all things, and that includes me and every part of my life. Thank you, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. I really resonated with a lot of those pathways, especially the enthusiast. That was a fun one, caregiving, and then the naturist. So I like the idea of being able to change our mindset to, because the things that we resonate with or the things that draw us in are often our pathways to God. And when we recognize that, it can make all the difference. So thank you. That was awesome. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is one power, one presence, one life. So whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey of transformation, you are welcome here. If you are new to our ministry, those of us watching virtually, and you're interested in learning more about our upcoming events and speakers, workshops, etc., please sign up for our email newsletter by texting Unity Spokane to 22828, or sign up on our website at unityspokane.org. We would also like to connect with you on our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can just search Unity Spiritual Center Spokane to find us. Now it is a time to acknowledge and bless one another with a socially distanced namaste greeting or, finger guns, whatever you want to do. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or at home, please feel free to stand up and send your conscious, loving energy to those around you. Awesome. And now is our time to celebrate abundance together as we share our gifts and love offerings. For those of you feeling the divine call to financially support our ministry today, you can drop your offering off in the little glass bowl at the back of the sanctuary. Another option is to text GIVE to 253-528-7416 or visit our website, unityspokane.org, and click on the donate button. Please know that your giving means so much to the vitality of our ministry. With that in mind, let us now take a moment to sink into our hearts and bring forth a feeling of gratitude and generosity as we say together our prosperity blessing. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. Thank you. I think I got that right. Our chaplains today are, I think it's Karen Dunmore, yes? Yeah. Oh, and Tim. Okay, good. Tim and I believe both Tim and Karen have been holding space for us for our service today. So we want to thank you both for doing that for us. One of our chaplains, or two of our chaplains, do that every Sunday, and it really shifts the energy here and as well as at home for those chaplains that are holding space from home. We would like to encourage anyone who is in need of prayer support to please submit your request through our online form. Simply go to unityspokane.org and click on Contact Us, and you will find a prayer request form that you can fill out. Those names are added to our prayer list and are also added to the Silent Unity prayer list, and they are prayed over for 30 days. So lots of prayer support here. We encourage everyone to please avail yourself to our prayer request form. So now let us join together for our closing prayer of protection, followed by our closing song. Together we affirm, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth. Thanks, everyone. There is an ROI Zoom call, reflections, observations, and inspirations. Please, those at home, please join the call. For those of us here, we can just stand up and make our way to the parking lot where we can talk. With COVID restrictions, we have to get outside. Thank you so much, everybody.